In 1992, a Shaolin monk walked into an auditorium in San Francisco, stood completely still, and invited a line of martial arts champions to hit him in the chest as hard as they could. One after another, full force. He did not flinch. He did not bruise. He did not move. His name was Shi Yanming. He had trained since age 5 using the Iron Shirt method, and the chest that absorbed those strikes was not built by bench press, cable flies, or push-ups. It was built by a 1,500-year-old system of progressive impact conditioning combined with a breathing technique that turns the entire rib cage into a pressurized shell. And here's what's wild. After that performance in San Francisco, Shi Yanming did something no Shaolin monk had ever done. He defected, jumped in a taxicab, and unable to speak a single word of English, gestured for the driver to keep driving. He walked out of that performance and never looked back. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Shaolin monks built chests that modern training physically cannot replicate. Most guys train chests the same way: bench press, incline dumbbell press, cable flies, maybe some push-up variations if they're feeling creative. None of that is wrong for hypertrophy. You will build a bigger chest. But here's what every single one of those exercises has in common. They only push outward. Nothing ever pushes back. Modern chest training builds the surface muscle and completely ignores the structures underneath it. The rib cage, the intercostal muscles between each rib, the costal cartilage connecting your ribs to your sternum, the fascia wrapping the entire chest wall. None of that gets loaded by a bench press. None of it. Compare that to the Shaolin Temple in Henan Province, China. For over 1,500 years, monks have been standing in stone training halls at dawn, striking their own chests with padded mallets while holding their breath in a pattern that pressurizes the entire torso from the inside out. They start with soft cloth mallets. They finish with iron ones. The monks who master the system can absorb full-force strikes from trained fighters without injury, bruising, or movement. That's not a parlor trick. That's structural adaptation. The History Channel measured Shi Yanming's 1-inch punch as more powerful than a car traveling at 35 miles per hour. That punch was not built by lifting weights. It was built by decades of Iron Shirt conditioning that transformed his chest wall, his fascia, and his entire skeletal structure from the inside out. Before any mallet ever touches the body, you spend weeks learning packing, breathing. Stand in horse stance, feet wider than shoulders, thighs burning, and you breathe. Deep inhale through your nose, pushing the air down below the navel, not into the chest, into the belly. Then you reverse the pressure. The abdominal wall contracts inward and upward, while the lower back pushes outward. The diaphragm locks. The glottis partially closes. Your torso inflates from the inside like a pressurized tank. The first time you try this, it feels wrong. Every instinct tells you to breathe into the chest. Your shoulders rise. Your neck tenses. Your face turns red. That's the #1 failure that defeats the entire system. The pressure must live below the ribs, not above them. It takes most beginners 2 to 4 weeks of daily practice just to stop the shoulders from climbing. When the pressure finally sits in the right place, the torso feels dense and springy at the same time, like a basketball pumped to maximum inflation. That's the foundation. Only then does the mallet arrive. You start with a mallet wrapped in thick cloth or cotton padding. A senior student or training partner strikes the chest, the sides, and the back with rhythmic controlled taps while you hold packing breath. The sound is a dull, muffled thud against tense muscle. It feels like a deep tissue massage with impact. The first few sessions leave a warm flush across the pectorals and the intercostal spaces between the ribs. Not pain, warmth. The skin feels tender for a day, then recovers slightly, tougher than before. By the second week, the warmth fades faster. By the 4th week, the cloth strikes barely register. By the end of the 2nd month, the body has absorbed hundreds of sessions, and the cloth mallet feels like someone tapping you through a winter coat. That's when the instructor notices the cloth is no longer producing change. That's when the wood comes out. The wooden mallet changes everything. The sound shifts from a muffled thud to a sharp, resonant crack against the chest wall. The first strike with wood feels like someone knocked on a door inside your rib cage. The intercostal muscles between each rib contract reflexively. The pectorals brace. The body flinches. Beginners lose their packing breath on the first wooden strike because the shock travels deeper than the cloth ever did. Some flinch so hard they step backward before the mallet even makes contact. Others exhale a split second too early and the force hits an unpressurized chest wall. That's how ribs bruise. The timing is not optional. It takes weeks to retrain the breathing hold through wood-level impacts. You learn to exhale sharply through your teeth at the exact moment of contact while maintaining abdominal pressure. That timing is everything. Hit on an empty breath and the force concentrates on the sternum and the ribs. Hit on a packed breath and the pressurized torso disperses the force across the entire trunk like a tire absorbing a pothole. The body does not resist the blow, it distributes it. After a year or more with wood, the progression moves to iron. The definitive training text on this method was compiled in 1934 by Jin Jing Zhang with the blessing of the head of the Shaolin monastery. He classified the Golden Bell method as the most important hard exercise out of all 72 arts. He wrote that when you feel no pain from blows with a wooden mallet, the wooden mallet can be replaced with an iron one. He wrote that if you practice this method for 2 to 3 years, your breast and your back will become strong like stone or iron. It is of no importance whether the enemy punches or kicks. It will do no harm. That's not poetry. That's a training manual written with the direct supervision of the head of the Shaolin monastery. Monks who complete this progression stand motionless, while fellow students deliver full-force blows to the torso with iron hammers. The most advanced practitioners absorb strikes from log battering rams weighing hundreds of kilograms in a technique called knocking the bell. Here's what's happening scientifically. What the Shaolin call packing breathing is biomechanically identical to what modern sports science calls the Valsalva maneuver, combined with abdominal bracing. Research on intra-abdominal pressure shows that simple abdominal bracing creates approximately 116 millimeters of mercury of internal pressure. The Valsalva maneuver in a seated position generates approximately 156 millimeters of mercury. During heavy resistance exercises like squats, that pressure exceeds 200 millimeters of mercury. That pressurized cavity does something critical. It creates tension in the thoracolumbar fascia, which generates trunk stiffness, and it allows forces applied to the torso to be dispersed across the entire trunk instead of concentrating at the point of impact. That's exactly what a monk is doing when he absorbs a hammer strike to the sternum. The blow does not hit a chest. It hits a pressurized container. The force radiates through the fascial system, through the braced intercostal muscles, through the costal cartilage, and dissipates across the entire rib cage. Research on thoracic biomechanics confirms that the intercostal muscles alone account for approximately 20% of thoracic spine stability in all motion planes. When those muscles are conditioned through years of progressive impact loading, the rib cage becomes structurally reinforced in a way that no bench press, no push-up, and no cable fly can replicate. Those exercises load the pectoralis major. They do not load the intercostals. They do not load the costal cartilage. They do not train the fascia to distribute force. They do not teach the body to pressurize on command. Here's the part most people get wrong about Iron Shirt training. They think it's just about toughening the skin. Hit yourself enough and you get calluses. That's the myth. The skin is the least important adaptation. The real changes happen underneath. The fascia thickens. The intercostal muscles develop reflexive bracing patterns that fire in milliseconds. The costal cartilage, which connects the ribs to the sternum, undergoes progressive loading that triggers Wolff's Law adaptation, increasing density along the stress vectors. The nervous system rewires itself to pressurize the torso automatically at the detection of incoming force. A master does not think about bracing. The body does it faster than conscious thought. That's why Xian Ming could stand still while Champion struck his chest. His body had been pressurizing and distributing force for 50 years. The reaction was embedded. You can see the adaptation from the outside. A monk who has trained Iron Shirt for 5 years does not flinch when a fist approaches the chest. The startle reflex is gone. The abdominal brace activates in milliseconds without conscious effort. The torso feels different to the touch, denser. The fascia over the pectorals and rib cage has a firmness that no amount of bench pressing creates because bench pressing thickens the muscle fiber, not the connective tissue wrapping it. The pressure generation gets faster with every year of training. A beginner takes 3 to 5 seconds to fully pressurize the torso. A 10-year practitioner does it in a fraction of a second, fast enough to brace for a punch they didn't see coming. Here's what we actually lost. For over 1,000 years, the Shaolin system treated the chest as a pressure vessel, not a pushing muscle. The conditioning trained every layer of the chest wall from the skin through the fascia, through the intercostal muscles, through the costal cartilage, through the rib cage itself as a single integrated system designed to absorb and redistribute force. Modern training does the opposite. It isolates the pectoralis major, loads it through concentric pushing movements on stable surfaces, and completely ignores the rib cage, the fascia, and the pressurization mechanism underneath. The result is men with large chest muscles who have never absorbed a single impact to the structure those muscles are supposed to protect. Here's how to start. Months 1 and 2, master packing breathing first. Deep inhale into the lower abdomen. Contract the abdominal wall inward. Hold. Your belly should feel hard and inflated at the same time. Practice in standing posture until you can hold the pressurized state for 10 seconds or more without your shoulders rising. If your shoulders rise when you brace, the pressure is in your chest, not your abdomen. That's the most common failure, and it defeats the entire system. The entire protocol depends on this foundation. Get this right first. Months 3 and 4, begin self-tapping with open palms across the chest, sides, and upper abdomen while maintaining packing breath. The strikes should produce a dull thud, not a sharp slap. Apply dit de jiao or arnica-based liniment after each session. The chest should feel warm and flushed, but never bruised. This builds your body's tolerance to impact gradually. Your fascia begins adapting, your intercostal muscles begin learning the bracing pattern. Months 5 through 8, progress to controlled fist strikes to the pectorals and obliques. A training partner can deliver moderate strikes while you hold packing breath. The key failure at this stage is holding breath in the chest instead of the abdomen. If your neck tenses and your face turns red, the pressure is in the wrong place, and you are one hard strike away from a rib injury. The pressure must stay low. That's everything. Months 9 through 12, introduce wooden training tools. Canvas bags filled with sand or rice, smooth wooden mallets, bamboo bundles, only strike-conditioned areas. Never the sternum or floating ribs without months of a preparation first. The progression is everything. You earn each stage through your body's adaptation, not through impatience. Here's what I want you to understand. Modern chest training built muscle on top of a structure it never bothered to condition. The Iron Shirt method conditioned every layer of that structure from the inside out, turning the entire rib cage into a pressurized shell that a 1,500-year-old monastery trusted with the lives of its warrior monks. That's real chest training, not just aesthetics, real functional strength. If you're committing to Iron Shirt chest conditioning, drop a comment saying Iron Chest and let me build a community of people who understand that ancient methods build capabilities modern training never even attempts. And if you want detailed breathing coaching, how to find training partners, how to safely progress through the 12-month protocol, or how to combine this with other Shaolin methods, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we're building the most complete ancient warrior training community on the internet. People who train like their life depends on it. The Shaolin monks discovered that the chest is not a pushing muscle. The chest is a pressure vessel. When you train it as a pressure vessel, it becomes indestructible. Packing breathing to pressurize, progressive impact conditioning to adapt, fascial thickening, intercostal muscle development, costal cartilage densification, nervous system rewiring. That's the entire system. That's all you need. The decision is simple. Train chest muscles or build an indestructible pressure vessel. The commitment is patient. 12 months of progressive conditioning. The results are inevitable. From a normal chest to a structure that can absorb forces that would injure most people. From vulnerability to invulnerability. Now master your packing breathing, begin the self-tapping, and I'll see you in the next video.